back. I know it's been a little while since I posted a video, but you know, school life, main channel kind of gets in the way a little bit. And if you notice, I am sitting outside because this is my mom's truck. Today, I've gotten into some wood carving stuff. I got my little stuff over here. I'm going to show you how to carve something kind of like this little mushroom guy. Now, this one's popular. I've done several out of sticks. I'm working on one right now. I'm doing a little bit of a variation, kind of like it, you know, I cut it off like right about there. Make it look a little interesting. You can paint these up, do whatever you want to them. Basically, all you're going to need for this is some kind of stick. I use a glove on my left hand because there are cuts where I have to get close to the work. I don't want to cut my hand so bad. So, and you do a lot with your thumb. My thumb has gotten very rough. This does somewhat mitigate it, so I don't get quite as bad of a blister. And you're going to need some sort of knife. Now, my personal choice for doing this stuff is I have a I think this is 120 carving knife. Razor sharp. It does a job pretty good for me. Now, and then I have used some other things. I've used this Stanley 199 utility knife. It works really good. I mean, it's just a utility knife blade. It'll get the job done. And I've also used a Swiss Army Tinker. Now, once you're thinking that big blade, yeah, you can use the big blade. But for some finer stuff, what I did was there's a secondary blade on it. And if you notice, it doesn't quite look like it. I have slightly modified this to where the blade is slightly narrower and the tip curves a little more, so it's more of a, I think it's called a Warrenclyffe carving point. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So make one of the mushrooms today. You can use whichever knife you want. I'm going to use the Moore, just because it is what I'm used to. I think I got it in a pack of 2. It was that and a spoon knife, hook knife. I think it was $50. I think they usually sell for $20, $25, something like that US. If you just go online, type Moore knife, it should pull up. This is not the sheath it came in. I wanted something a little different because I have a pouch that I keep my carving stuff in, and this fit in the pouch a little bit better. So this is just some cardboard I wrapped duct tape around. Essentially, it keeps it safe. It keeps it small, so I can put it in there, and I can grab it. I'm not gonna get hurt, not get cut. So the first thing you want to do with this is, I've already done this because I don't want to try to do it on video, but you want to make a cut. Typically, you can gauge it is like finger, see how wide this is, come down on that. You can change the length or whatever, but what I did was I took a saw and I cut all the way around it. You want to try to be as even as possible with it, just for consistency's sake. You can get creative with however you want to do it. I mean, these things, there's tons of room for variation. I did it with this. You can do tiny ones, which I have some smaller ones here off camera. Ugh. Sitting low. So, a little bit smaller one, really small one. So, I mean, I've even carved one out of some 5/16 inch dowel I had laying around. So the first thing you want to do is, you want to try to get as clear a piece of wood as you could. I unfortunately, I forgot to mention, this is some sycamore that someone cut down around me, and I went on and I sawed off some chunks. If you notice, you want to try to be as knot-free as possible, or try to incorporate it in. But with my piece, there's a knot here, and there's a knot over here. Now, the way you do this, these two aren't really going to affect anything. So what you do is you want to pick a spot and just start cutting, and you want to go clean through the bark till you see the wood underneath, and you want to keep that distance all the way around, so that it's going to be the base of your mushroom. So just do that. I mean, you can carve these in 20 minutes, if that. I think the smaller ones, personally take a little more skill, just because they're smaller and you gotta get real close to the work. So you can see you can knock the bark off pretty quickly. I'm not the most consistent with keeping the bark at the same level, so I do have to usually go clean that back up. I mean, you can do these however you want. I mean, even with poplar, I didn't do the banding like I'm doing on this one, just because you can't really tell on this, and this one's probably going to get painted. So I'm like, I don't see, and it was a much rougher surface. What you do is you end up with a little band, something like that. Now, what you do from here is we're just going to round this over. So I'll usually come like halfway up, then half of that, and so on and so on, until I get a good dome, like on this one. Now, you can do any sort of variation you want with this. Like I said, I pointed this one out. I'm trying to get a little more creative with it, challenge myself, because things were getting too easy. So I wanted to try to, change it up a little bit. You can put curves in it. I have done one out of a big square chunk of basswood. I don't have it with me right this minute. I'm not running for it. There's that, and you can do it with that. I will warn you with the basswood, because I did this, and I wasn't the smartest. That's why I started wearing the glove. I forget where I cut. No, I didn't cut, but I poked myself right here in the bend of this finger with that more, because it's so sharp. Because when you're carving, you need it to get it hair shaving sharp, then take it up another level. Like, you want these sharp consistently. And what you can do to keep it that sharp is when you start feeling it get dull, you use what's called a strop, which is just essentially a piece of leather, and you just, like you're sharpening it, do that 10-15 times till it gets that edge back on it. Anyway, back to the mushroom. So like I said, you just go about halfway, and I usually go about how deep I think I want it to go, and I just repeat that all the way around it. If you watch me, you can see why your thumb starts to get sore after a little while. I'm making all these, what's called a push cut with it. So what a push cut is exactly what you see me doing. It's where you put the knife on the wood and you use that thumb and you push it and you bring your wrist like this. It's nice controlled cut. See, I can stop whenever I want and I can come back and I can finish it. So you just keep doing this all the way around the wood. You don't have to worry a whole lot about messing up, just because out of all the mushrooms in the world, you're going to make something that looks something like a mushroom. Like, no, I don't think, there's been like 3 or 4 of mine that look the same, but you're never going to get 2 exactly the same, perfect, every time consistent. But what you, like I said, you just keep rounding it over and over and over. And that's what I'm going to do right here. I mean, like you guys can see, this takes almost no time at all. This is another kind of push cut. I'm not the best at teaching, but so stick with me when I try to explain this while I do it. But you can just use pure wrist and arm strength. You don't have to use your thumb so much. But the thumb is a little bit nicer for more controlled, precise cutting. And I find it pretty helpful. Now these are pretty much the 2 consistent cuts I use the most. Where it varies is like when you get into carving little characters and stuff. You can use this size of a blade, but preferably with that, when you're carving the characters, you're going to want something like that little Swiss Army knife I have. I can't carve characters, I'm not that good, and I'm stuck to mostly carving spoons in these mushrooms. If you guys want to see a spoon carving video, I can show you guys how to do it. Just let me know in the comments. As you can see, I'm almost through here with the top. I just got to get this last little nub, and it's just going over, and you're just rounding and rounding and rounding and rounding. So these are a little fun thing. I gave one of them to my cousin, give it to her, I think she's 3-year-old daughter. So I gave her one cheap, thought it was pretty neat. She tried to eat it, but you guys saw me just in this. It's a pull cut. This one is definitely a lot more dangerous because you're bringing that blade back towards you, and here you're using a lot more thumb action. And it is a little bit better, but you got to be a lot more careful with it because when you do it, you want your thumb far below where that knife is going to come off. So before you make a cut, just always practice making sure that knife blade is never going to come near your thumb. You want to cut, I read it in a book, you want to cut, the guy said, don't cut wood, not meat. Meat meaning thingies. Thingies are not fun to cut. I have destroyed like this little area. I've nicked my thumb a little bit with a spoon knife because I got a scrape like this. I have barely like broken skin. Like these things are so sharp that any minimal contact with your skin and this knife blade, you will get cut. because I have cut myself with this once or twice. I've not done it since, mostly. But you don't even know you got cut by this until you actually see it. I had one, I think it was like right about here on my thumb one day, and I didn't. I had been working probably 20-30 minutes. I was actually finished up. I was sanding a piece down, and I looked down, and there's blood on my thumb, and I'm like, what? And then so I go upstairs, I wash my hands, Band-Aid, come back to work. So pretty good. But as you can see, that's rounded over pretty good. It's got a pretty significant band on it. So now, the next part you want to do is you come here to where we got the saw line. You take the knife and you just kind of repeat the same thing. You're going to come up real gently till you get to that line. It's a stop cut. So you just do that all the way around. And just kind of, you start a little closer. I come down probably half an inch, 3/4, something like that to start. And just work my way around. Take that bark off. And you're using that stop cut. If you go, you gotta be real gentle here, because if you go too hard, too far, you're gonna come here, and you're gonna blow the whole side of the mushroom off. And then you got a whole nother kind of mushroom there. I don't know what that one is. I've made a couple like that from where split sticks have been weird. Like I think this one was actually one of it. You can see this face is a lot flatter just because of the way the stick was split. I mean, you can do it. It looks pretty interesting. You just got to make sure. I mean, you can do it. There's all sorts of different varieties out there. But anyway, you do that. I like to come down all the way till I get to the bottom of the stop cut. Do that all the way around. This is my process. You guys can do this and figure out your own. Because I watched the original video. I'll try to remember to actually link it in the description so you guys can check it out. Because I think the guy I saw do it, he has a pretty good video. Because I learned how to do this just watching that video once. And I've been hooked on making these things since. They're fun. You can get kids involved. It's fun for adults because I've been doing it. And there's just so much variation you can do with this. You can paint these. Like I've used, I think it's just Apple Barn, whatever the cheap craft stuff is you get at Walmart. That paint for like 50 cents a thing. You just use that. And I do that. If you guys want to see a video where I paint one of these, let me know and I'll show you. So once I get mostly down in there, I'll come down probably about another ½ inch. And I'll finish taking it all the way to that stop cut. Now, you see this little bit? What you do when you get that is you just take the knife and you press in, you do this, and you just pick it out like that. So I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around, hopefully without getting hurt, because that knife's getting a little slick right there. We're just going to keep going round and round and round. Lots of circles here. Lots and lots and lots of circles. You don't have to worry about this being, perfectly perfect no matter what, because make it your own. So now that once I got pretty much, I think this is good stump distance, I can come back and make a little more. But you want the top a little bit narrower than the bottom is, just to give it a good taper. Because as you can see here on this one, it tapers up just a little bit. Just gives it a good appearance. So I just I'll get most of the way to the bottom of the stop cut, and then I'll go that far, a little bit farther, and then just come in and clean it up, and just keep going until I get to that stop cut. And I mean, you can play with this all you want. I leave them kind of with several facets on them. I don't do much finish work on them just because I kind of like the way they look without it, personally. You guys can do this. I mean, that's the thing with like wood carving and any kind of, hands-on craft. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You can do it however you want. I know there have been a couple times where I've had mushrooms that were real rough. I have sanded them, but I typically try to avoid doing anything other than like a knife finish. So I heard something. But you can get in there, you can clean up the bottoms, make them look however you want. I'm just kind of doing it real rough right now. I'll probably clean up a little bit later. Then whenever you get done, always make sure you put your knife up, because you don't want to get cut by that. And so that is pretty much your finished mushroom. Now you can make these longer, shorter, taller. fatter, however you want them to look. And pretty much the only step after this is you want to leave a little bit of banding, kind of like on this one. You want to leave a little bit of banding on the bottom of the bark, and you know, just cut, you know, half an inch, whatever, right about there, and just cut it off with a saw. It is the best way to do it, I found, just because like nothing else is gonna really cut it that clean. But cut off with a saw, and you got a little desktop art, or you can leave it on the stick. This one's probably gonna end up leaving most of it on the stick, just because of the way I want the look I'm going for with it. This one, I mean, these take. I mean, this video is 15 minutes long. Actually, me chat halfway through it. So, you know, definitely fun project. I know we're all still pretty much stuck in quarantine, so if you got a stick, you got a knife, I mean, I know a lot of folks, you know, I'm lucky enough that I have property to roam on, but, you know, if you don't, I'm sure you can find Amazon, you can get some basswood blocks, you know, same kind of thing, you just gotta make them round first, then you can do this. That's it, guys. Remember, if you want to see, you know, me try some variations on video, painting, spoon carving, any other kind of woodworking projects that are simple, kind of basic that you guys want to see, let me know. I'll try to see what I can find about how to make them. I'll try to make them, and you guys get my take. And yeah, I guess that's it. So, you guys remember, like, share, subscribe. I'll see y'all on the next one.